Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again on Willow Talk. Adam Peacock alongside Brad Haddin and Alyssa Healy. Heels, welcome back.
Hi. Yeah, nice to be back.
And our cybersecurity expert, Bradley Haddin, is in the studio as well for this bumper episode of Willow Talk.
It has been a long 48 hours.
What?
What about today? I'll get a message. Everyone congratulate me on a new Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, I did.
By the way, Joey and Phil at Lexus of Chatswood, I'm still rock solid, boys. I'm still rock solid.
Had to get
Mate.
that in straight away.
Oh,
if
mate,
you've missed
it's a
the
nightmare.
news, Hads got hacked. So if you're getting DMs from Hads out there, it's not him. It's some dude in the Cayman Islands selling Bitcoin or
Block
something.
the little shit.
I voted for you. I had high hopes for you
Well,
on
I
that
can't
podcast.
get in. They've taken my email address and password. So whoever get there, block the little shit. If you see him,
I want the money
knock him
transfer.
out.
What was the reaction when you started to realise you'd been hacked?
Well, it was a couple of days ago. Then I fixed it all, and I couldn't get into my account to fix it. So they've taken my email address, they've taken my password, they've changed all of it, so I can't get back in. So I just block it. As I said, Lex of Chatswood, I'm still rock solid. I haven't got a Mercedes
Too. Sammy, scrub that second one, will you? They don't actually fund this show. Fund Hads' lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. No problems with your social media accounts?
No, I changed the passwords today. Though I got a little worried, but
Associated with you. Good to have you in, Heels, because this is and Hads, of course. This is a massive episode. This is the biggest, I think this is the biggest episode we've ever done of Willow Talk.
I've never seen so many pages.
We've got 6 pages of rundown. Usually it's 2. So
I'm
that
scared.
gives you an indication that settle up. This might be a double commute listen. This might be over 2 days, this particular listen, and it'll still be relevant even when the test starts later in the week. We will preview the first Border-Gavaskar test match in Perth and hear from Travis Head about his least favourite job, or maybe the least favourite job in Australian cricket. That's fielding at bat pad. So
I thought it was ironing. He looks like he's never ironed a shirt in his life, Travis said.
Or combed his hair.
it's not his least
Well, I had
favourite
a
job
shave.
because he doesn't do it. So we'll also chat to former England captain Michael Vaughan. He'll join us for his take on the Test summer and a look ahead to next summer's men's Ashes and a few other things. That's a good chat. We've put together our Summer of Cricket bingo card. So you're both going to do one, I understand?
Hads doesn't quite know how it's unfolding yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So it's the things you're going to sit down and listen to over summer from the commentators, be it on radio or on TV, and you can just tick them off on your bingo card. And we want you, the listener, to let us know when you've got your bingo card all sorted.
I like the idea that it also could double as a drinking game for those over the age of 18.
Exactly. And for those under the age of 18, just have a little fire engine by your side. And
A Fanta.
Yeah, exactly. A Fanta or a Sprite. You look like a Sprite person to me, Hads.
Me, no.
No?
No. I'm a Corona. If we're going to have something that's no good for you, it might as well be a Corona.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And we're going to look ahead to the IPL mega auction as well.
Oh, yeah.
This weekend.
A lot of planning.
Oh, yeah. A lot of planning. There's one household in this particular room that's looking forward to it as well, I dare say.
He'll be right.
What, for him to finally let it all go? He's been nowhere.
You know what I find interesting? How the IPL auction dictates everything.
Everything.
It doesn't really.
Well, I tell you how it does.
It does dictate our mortgage
We
a
had
little.
we had a 2020 series, Australia up 2-0, and all of a sudden we have a dead rubber, which is no dead rubber playing for Australia, but we had an extended squad. They didn't change the team. They didn't rest anyone. Imagine being tapped on the shoulder. Imagine Marcus Stoinis being tapped on the shoulder, or Adam Zampa saying, "Oh, mate, we've won the series against Pakistan. We're going to give a few others a go." No, thank you. We've got an IPL auction in 6 days.
Good time for Stoin to hit one to another postcode
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
He was brutal.
The other night. Outstanding. Jeez, he's looking big, Stoin. He's been throwing some tin around, no doubt. We're going to finish with our sundries and shout-outs as well. So, before we get into our first test preview, just an update on what's going on Apple Podcasts and also Spotify with our updates coming through. We're nearly at the top of the charts on Apple. By the time you listen to this, no doubt we'll be number 1, but we've got there on Spotify as well. And thank you for all your interaction through our social media channels. So many questions coming through. We're going to get some questions at the end of the show today as well. And it won't include the many videos we've been sent of Hads being clean bowled by Dale Steyn. But please don't stop sending them through because they put a smile on the producer's dial. Producer Sam likes seeing those come through.
How do you, like, if I was on Instagram, I'd block my oldest son. Because every time that comes up, he sends it to me.
Oh, dear. Now, also leave us a comment on YouTube if you want. All our episodes go out on YouTube. Scott left us a comment on YouTube. He says, what's great about Willow Talk is that players us Poms hate on the field from the 2000s because they always beat England are actually really decent blokes. Thanks, guys, as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
We're all pretty good.
And females coming later in this summer as well. You're going to beat England again, aren't you? And we can talk about that in years to come. The Ashes series.
Yeah, we don't want any of them on here, though.
Okay, fair enough. Plenty of reviews on Apple. We're at 169 reviews. Well
Quickly
on our way.
move on.
Well on our way to a target of 200. Big Bald Heels says, my favourite, the best cricket pod I've found. The personality of the host provide hilarious banter, bring out the best in the guests and give a great deep dive into the current and past goings on. They've got a few here, so yeah. Sit up straight, everyone, and feel proud in this room. B. Mitch 73 says, great podcast, great humorous reviews of cricket with high-quality knowledge of the game. Daystar says, informative and funny, great hosts and amazing guests. And Lovey222 says, love it. My 14-year-old son and I love the show. We spend many hours travelling for cricket games and training all year, and Willow Talk is a constant in the car. Keep up the great work. Lovey222. Thank you, mate. Hopefully there's a bit of traffic around for you this week so you can just sit longer in the car and listen to this huge episode we're doing right now. Keep sending them through on Apple. Leave us a rating on Spotify. We're still number 1 on Spotify, as mentioned. We're on 628 ratings on Spotify, 80 short of our target and 708. We're going to crush through that. Now, before we get to the first test preview, Heels, what's happening? When are you playing next?
Oh, I am just having a little break. I think the technical term is old age. Just waiting for a bit of swelling to go down.
Fair enough.
No, still on track for the Indian ODI series. Obviously, the first game is the 5th of December, so it's not too far away. Meant that probably the last couple of games of WBBL was going to be a bit much to try and get to that. So just trying to get myself right for that. It's obviously a big summer of international cricket, and so made that call to rest up.
So it's just a bit of swelling that you hope goes away. There's no underlying structural massive problem there. It's just, you can manage it.
There's a bit going on. I haven't bought into the actual science behind it, but there's a bit going on in there. I've labelled it a very angry knee. And obviously, as we know, knee problems for keepers aren't great. So just trying to get that down and make sure that I can function.
Yeah.
I had 3 knee surgeries in my time. Hurt one playing paintball. I hurt the other try to do a scissor kick. Then I hurt one of them again, which I don't know which one, hit by a taxi.
Well, the irony of this one is that mine, I don't think has happened on a cricket field. It may have been a nap-related incident where I've literally leapt into bed to have a nap and may have twisted something.
How big's your bed?
It's big. It's tall. So I actually have to jump up onto it.
How excited do you get when you have a nap?
But probably the best part about it is that our dog's just got like a new knee because she had knee surgery a couple of weeks ago. So I lifted her up on the bed.
You're doing a
and
squat.
then myself went
So you're telling
launched onto it.
You're telling me, Hads, that in your career you would have done 3.7 trillion squats and never had a knee problem.
No.
But you tried a scissor kick one day and you blew your knee out?
Yep. Lateral meniscus, bit of popliteus at the same time.
What'd you do?
Missed the ball.
You were playing soccer.
Yeah.
I thought you were just scissor kicking someone.
Doing a bit of capoeira or something.
We were playing soccer
Parkour.
for one of the trainers' great ideas. It was all to do with bloody trainers. They should keep them out of the game. Let's play soccer, keep the guys stimulated. And you put competitive men in. I tried a scissor kick, missed the ball, knee went. Then we were playing a game of paintball, and I was hiding behind the hill, and they were all running over. So I quickly shot, then I jumped over 2 barrels to get away from them. I felt something go, but I kept going because I didn't want to lose. And about next day, we were playing a game. I said to the physio, I said, something's catching in my knee. He said, have you done anything silly? I said, no, must have heard it going down the crouch. But I won paintball, but my knee went.
And lost life.
But the funny thing is, each time they went in, I was nervous. I don't know if you've had knee surgery yet. As a keeper, you think, what's going on in there? He said, no, it was only the meniscus problem. All my knees had no wear and tear or anything.
We had this discussion outside and squeaky clean in there as well, which is quite surprising.
Yes. Well, hopefully see you out there very, very soon.
I'll be right.
If not, you're in here very, very soon for the rest of summer.
Great.
So
Do you know what?
there's the backup
It's
for
a
you.
win-win.
Another way that could help your knee,
Good, here we go.
is in the test match you play, open because the field's up and you don't have to run as much.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
or
don't
you just
keep-
nick off first ball and sit down the rest of the day.
Both ways, your knees are good.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Let's get into the first test preview, shall we? Australia, India, the men at Optus Stadium Friday. First ball, 1:20 p.m. Eastern time, 10:20 local. Obviously, love the Perth test because it means cricket for dinner, basically. So Australia is coming off a 2-0 series win in New Zealand in February, a long, long time ago. It is a long time ago, whereas India, New Zealand, their last opponents, but it was only a couple of weeks ago, and they got dusted on dust bowls at home 3-0. Now, everyone, before we get into the deep dive of the various things in India's makeup, what's the one question you can't wait to be answered in this first test? What's the big kind of thing in your mind that you don't quite know right now, but you're looking forward to finding out?
I want to find out how McSweeney goes at the top of the order. That's mine. I feel like there's a lot of unknown about the Indian 11, so we'll find out that. But I really want to see how McSweeney goes at the top.
Well, I want to see whether the Indian loss to New Zealand was just one of those one-off freak events, or it's actually the change in the guard in international cricket. Whether the guys like Rohit Sharma and Kohli, which a lot of talk about their form, is true.
Because they have, reading a lot in the last couple of days, Pujara and Rahane, they actually haven't retired, but the selectors retired them. Now, what do they do with a Rohit Sharma and a Virat Kohli in the next 2 years? And this could be a precursor to what actually happens. Do they actually walk away? I think Virat Kohli's got to the stage of his career and legendary status that he makes that call.
Oh, both of those guys get the opportunity to make the call, but have they lost their aura? To lose that test in New Zealand, 3-love, you put it down to, it was one of those just freak events. The boys respond well, they rebound, and they haven't lost here in 10 years, and life goes on for the next few years. Or is it the start of a decline of a great era?
I just think it shows that no one knows how to play spin. Like, you think about how many of those Indian players actually play domestic cricket in India on turning wickets. None. They're all playing white ball cricket around the world instead. So they used to play on flat wickets, different balls. All of a sudden you get our home favourable conditions and you forget how to go about business. That's all.
Well, I think that's a perfect point. I don't think the modern Indian batsmen play spin that well at all. Yeah. Their first-class wickets aren't spin friendly, and with the way they prepare their wickets now, it leaves a lot of the result up to chance. And we've seen that through the series, and with IPL, the flat wickets, as you said. But I reckon that's a great point. They actually don't play spin as well as the past eras.
So McSweeney, to him, Heels, your big answer that you want to see, cap 467 for Australia. Be interesting to see who presents the cap as well. Greg Blewett will be in the vicinity, South Australian, but McSweeney actually is a Queenslander, so do they go to someone from Queensland?
Big Hados, opening batter.
Hados, perhaps. Who knows? We'll wait and see. But Alex Carey said this about Nathan McSweeney. He's probably got the same amount of energy and skill level as Marnus in the field, but less chat, just a quieter version.
There is a lot of Marnus about McSweeney. They are good mates. Like you mentioned, he is a Queenslander. He was actually my cousin's wedding party, so maybe there's Healy that might present his cap. But he does look like a really nice all-round cricketer. Yeah, just a little less lippy, a little more refined.
It's a great story because it wasn't that long ago that he felt he couldn't get a game for Queensland. So, and I'm pretty sure it's him. It might have been McAndrew as well. They actually, because it was around COVID time when they moved states, he actually got in the car and drove all the way to Adelaide. And when he's got there, he's found his place in cricket and he's been able to build himself up. This is still a bit of an outlier, a bit of a shock that he's got the start. Selectors have seen something. And we've spoke about it last week about Ed Cow and what he said and going about the numbers when he's in early. But selectors have seen something about this guy's temperament to handle this occasion.
Well, I actually don't think it's a shock. I don't think his selection's a shock at all. If you look at 12 months out, he was captain of the Australian A team against Pakistan in Canberra. So they obviously seen some sort of quality in him that they wanted to develop. So they've given him opportunities to captain A teams. It doesn't matter where you bat. Like Langer, Boone, they made great careers. They were 3 opener. It doesn't matter. Caddo was the same. Aussie was the same as well. He spent a lot of time in the middle order. So I think they've known about this. I don't think it's a shock. I think it's a shock to us people that are on the outside, but it's not a shock to the inner sanctum. I think this decision was made a long time ago.
What do you say to yourself before you're about to face your first ball playing for Australia?
Don't nick
Given
it.
given the both
Leave
of
it
you
alone.
been there,
Leave it alone. Well, you know it's going to be Jasprit Bumrah
Bowl him,
more
get
often,
off the mark.
like, more than likely. Yeah, and it's like, find it. I reckon he'll be like, find the ball. Because it's so hard to pick out of the hand, right? They had to see him, and it's probably going to be find the ball first. But that's what I love about him. He's got something about him. He's got grit. He's got tenacity, and his ability to leave the cricket ball I think, is what given him the heads up over the other guys.
How different is that first ball as opposed to your first game in first grade as a kid or first game for your state?
Yeah, well, he goes out and plays state cricket. There's 120 people watching, plus his dog. He goes into India. This might be the most watched Test series ever. So he's got to put all that out of his mind and trust that he's done all the work. And when he sees Bumrah at the top of his mark, he's not thinking about all those things. He's just thinking about reacting to the ball. And that's hard to do in your first Test. You'll be thinking, oh, how do I get off the mark? Don't play a big cover drive. Don't play a big cover drive. You flash at one. But I think the thing about him, I think he's mentally tough.
Yep.
I think he's one of those kids that will be able to handle the occasion in his head. So I'm not that worried about him.
Is he going to take the first ball, or Usman?
How do they decide that?
I don't know. We'll have to ask him.
Like, have you seen openers argue over it ever, or flip a coin, or
Well,
flip
I know
a bat?
I've opened with some senior play like Mark Waugh and Matthew Haddin, and I was told what end I was going to. So Usman's got the right to tell him what to do.
The seniority rules. How do you do it?
Yeah, it's always me. Tends to always be me, unless like there's a matchup. So like if there's a left arm spinner on, like Moons will take it because she's a matchup. She's got some junk over the summer just because she's a lefty facing that, and I get a rip snorter first ball. So, but it's all more often than not me. I'm happy to do it. If you're going to open the batting, you may as well face first ball. I reckon.
I hated it. Yeah. I'd rather be at the other end.
Watching.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it. If someone's bowling seeds down that end, I'd rather at least be there.
Yeah, no.
Travis Head says his prep has been fine, and congratulations to the Head family as well, welcoming his second child, Harrison. So hopefully he's got the middle name of Henry, and then he can just be known as Triple H, a wrestler, little Harrison.
Good club that, actually.
But he says he's
getting all the plugs in today.
His prep is fine. He hasn't played since early October. Last 3 matches in each format. India Test match, 163 and 18 at the Oval. One day, 137, Ahmedabad, and T20, 76 off 43 at St. Lucie. So his first up form against India, good. Are we okay with Travis and his prep?
He'll be fine. I reckon of all the 2 players in the squad that you'd back to come in and actually benefit from a rest of some sort, and also perspective in, having young children, is Travis and Mitch Marsh. I think they'll be absolutely fine. Maybe come on tour to get a little bit of sleep, not sure. But Travis Head just looks like the sort of player that he'll get in the nets this week, but probably bat for a couple of hours, just get his eye in, and he'll be fine.
Well, he's earned the right for Cricket Australia to trust him, hasn't he? The way his performance have been there. After a long break, he's come up good every time. When he got the big 100 in the World Test Championship, he just finished a Europe holiday with his family and he lobbed in a couple of days, had the net he needed. Some players like Steve Smith wouldn't be able to do it. They need to hit a lot of balls. Travis Head looks like he's someone that doesn't need to until you need to.
Well, he's an instinctual player, so if you're coming in fresh mentally, I feel like that's going to benefit you, whereas Steve Smith's slightly different.
Yeah, it is a fine line, though, because he hasn't had a bat for a long, long time. And it'd be interesting that the stats look great if he does nick off a couple of times, whether you start to second guess all that, because mate, he does play a high risk game, Travis Head.
Well, talking to Travis Head, remember when we were doing the Willow Talks at the Ashes, he was like, oh, yeah, I didn't have a net today, but my prep is, if I need to get in the right headspace and prepare properly, is to just go back and have a look at some old innings on YouTube and just see me smacking the ball around.
Good to watch.
Yeah. You'd be there for a while, the way Travis is going in the last 12 months. And he was great on the one-day tour of England, so hopefully he can recapture that form pretty quickly. Now, we asked our Instagram followers how many runs Steve Smith would make against India. 36% said between 300 and 400. 28% said 400 plus. So that's a lot of runs.
I'm thinking, that's 10 innings.
We'll take it now.
Yeah, average 40.
Yeah, you take that from Stephen at 4?
I didn't see that survey, actually.
No. Oddly enough.
So this is new to me, but if I'm having a look at it, can you remember the one-day game in Melbourne? Smith got 40.
The first one.
Yeah.
Was it the first one?
Yeah, it was
Yes.
the first one. They won. Paddy got him home.
Yep.
I hadn't seen him look as good as that for a long, long time. His movements were fine. He'd found his hands. He wasn't rushed. Everyone else was rushed that game. And Steve Smith was hitting on drives down the ground. He picked up length really quick. So he looks like he's in unbelievable form without getting a big score. So I reckon he's back to 4. He's comfortable. Mate, the openers and number 3 can do a good job. He might be tough to get out, C. Smith.
400 plus, he'll be right.
Legacy of this team, how important is it for when you look back at the era, and a lot of people are saying that this is the greatest battery of pacemen we've had together, or bowlers, I should say, with Nathan Lyon in there. The 4 of them, there's been, like, as a quartet, never like it before in Australian men's cricket. How important is it, though, to win a series like this, given what happened a few years ago against India, against all odds, with that magnificent victory under Ravi Shastri?
This is the only one they haven't got.
Yeah.
So I think this means quite a lot to them, and I think you can probably see it reflected in their preparation. There's been a lot of talk about the big boys flying home from that one-day series and taking the piss out of the series, but it genuinely means that they're putting a lot of time and effort into this one, and it means a lot. So, yeah, I think it's huge for them, and from a legacy point of view, it's the only trophy they haven't got, and they want that in the cabinet.
Yeah, I agree. This is anything they haven't done. Haven't had it for 10 years. Mate, the groups, this might be the last crack. It will be the last crack, actually. You'd imagine this group would have of getting the Border-Gavaskar Trophy back. So when you talk about legacies, this is the final piece.
Oh, and by the way, like having Mitch at home for those first couple of days, did you tend to the wildlife that's in your backyard that you put up on Instagram? That you might not have seen this as well, Hads,
There's a
on
lot.
social media.
There's a lot going on.
There's a
Yeah,
bit going
Stephen, the big python that lives on our
You've
property.
named him.
I named him. Apparently his name was Monty before we moved in, but I named him Stephen. He was a very refined gentleman, so it wasn't Steve. He was Stephen. He was beautiful. We had to move him on because we've got 3 dogs and a almost 3-year-old on the property, so we had to just move him on, but he'll probably find his way back.
Wait, hang on. Back up the bus. You actually bought that property. In the brochure was there, by the way, there's Monty.
We were told that there's a carpet python that lived on our property. Great, he keeps all the rodents away. Yeah.
Would you have bought it, Hads?
You know what?
Knowing that?
Since Stephen's been moved, the bandicoots are back, and that's annoying.
Telling you. Yeah.
So I hope Stephen comes back soon.
How far away did Stephen go?
Yeah, we're not sure.
I wouldn't be surprised now if he's tucked up in the corner of your bed.
No, he
No,
doesn't
he'll
come
come back.
inside.
It'll click your
That's
knee
as
back in
close
the-
as he's been to the house. He's always down in the bottom paddocks, but
Oh,
yeah.
he's just introducing himself then.
Yeah, we just said hi. He was sitting in the sun.
throw him a mine.
Just had a feed, I reckon.
So if you've just logged into this podcast all of a sudden in here and expecting some cricket chat, we'll get back to it right now, shall we? India. Geez, this is hard to line up. Given what has happened in the past, Rohit Sharma was always iffy for this first test, if not second test. So that's not a shock. The Shubman Gill one, how big a blow, Hads?
Well, I think it's as big a blow as losing the captain. I think Gill would suit these conditions the way he plays, and he's number 3. He could counterattack. These fast bowlers. So I think that's the biggest loss that they have outside of Mohammad Shami.
Well, that's how they won it last time when they were out here. They got on the front foot early and sort of threw the first punch to the Aussie bowling lineup. So, yeah, I agree. It's a big one.
So it's looking likely, and I'm going off Bharat Sundaresan, who is the greatest practice watcher, I reckon, known to man in cricket. He's a journalist. If you don't know him, Bharat, follow him on social media, on X Hads, not on Instagram. But
I'll ring him and ask.
3 days before a test, he'll go and watch, and he'll pick up cues about everything that's going on.
Yeah, but you can tell that stuff. Or is it just
You
because
can
we've
tell.
played the game?
It's because you've played the
Okay.
game. For us mere mortals outside the ropes,
Right, okay.
it's hard to pick up to
Fair
the
enough.
point where he knows who's going to field bat pad and third set because he watches everything. He's not there just to hang around, see a few people, eat a few party pies, which is the usual trick of people in the media, basically. So no, Barrett, he went there and he's worked out the KL Rahul's going to open with Jaiswal. At 3. Padakal, who was out here for the India A series, but he's been kept after Shubman Gill injured his thumb. Kohli, Pant, Jarrell, so they're going to go in with 2 keepers. Jadeja, and then it's up in the air whether they go an Ashwin to go along with Bumrah, Siraj, and it looks like Krishna's going to get the role. So
Right.
if you're listening to this after the first test has started, please ignore everything that we've just said. But does this strike you as a team going in and it's a lot harder than it actually needs to be, or a team that is comfortable with the fact that they know they've got a bit of depth and they'll be okay?
You're not comfortable. No way in the world. When you lose your opener and number 3 going into the start of a huge series, it's not comfortable at all. That's why Cahill Rahul was quickly flown out here to have a hit in the practice game. Imagine if we said Uzi's out and Steve Smith's out. It's not comfortable. As much as you say it is, it's great, we'll give opportunity to someone else, this batsman in form, that's bullshit. It's not comfortable at all when you've got to change your opener and number 3.
I'm potty mouth today.
Yeah.
He's on edge.
Beep. Yeah, you're right. I don't think it's comfortable, but I almost feel like this first test is a write-off, and it's literally, I think both teams are probably a little bit edgy. Australia haven't played for a while. India have got a new side. It's going to be done and dusted really quickly. Obviously, Australia will win, but I don't reckon we read too much into it because all of a sudden Rohit Sharma comes back in the side. Maybe it looks a little bit different. We actually see what the lineup's going to be like a little more clearly maybe in Adelaide. But, I mean, you don't want to say that about a test match, but I feel like this first one's going to be done real quick.
Do you go into a 5-test series, Hads, knowing that your best cricket is not going to come in the first test? Does that happen?
Well, one of the good things about Australia, they find a way to win when they're not playing their best cricket. If we're going into a tournament plays about peaking at the right time to win the tournament. But the first 2 games are where you need to be firing in this series. You need to start well. If you start well in the first 2 tests, you break India and it becomes a really, really long tour for a subcontinent team. So Australia need to make sure that they bring their A game in the first test because you can actually win the series the way you win the first test. But if you let India, who got the young team, and as you said, that they're undecided about what batting positions and who's the third quick, if they get some confidence, they're an emotional team. If they start to believe that they can win, it becomes a really difficult series.
Oh, it could come to Sydney and be 2-2 and everyone just pray for rain. Won't have to pray too hard. The way the last few...
Well, no, we don't want to pray for rain because then we don't get the trophy.
Look at his face.
I don't think there'll be a draw. There won't be a draw in this series. There's no way that either of those teams will allow a draw.
I reckon the way the climate is and storms and what
there's
it
a
can
lot
do
going
with
on.
rain, there's a bit going on. I reckon one test will be weather affected.
No.
There's more
It'll get
chance
spicy.
on not one test match going 5 days.
Yeah.
Hang on. We'll
Save
get into
that.
Save it. Save it. It's your next one. It's the next segment.
No, I've got too many. I've got 15 of the next segment.
Not for the first time. Hads has jumped ahead on the rundown. Just a quick stat that I want to point out as well. Hads, I precursed this. I said, where's around the world that's the closest to Australian conditions? You said South Africa. Last 2 times. Since the last time India were here, they've been to South Africa twice. In, 5 tests, all against South Africa, they've scored 300 plus once. There's got to be something in that.
Yeah, there are. And I remember watching the last series that they played there, and those wickets were filthy, but they got brutalised by that bowling attack. There were cracks on there in day one. The ball was going up. They were really tested. Are all our wickets going to be like that? Not really. Optus, definitely. But you get to Adelaide, what's that going to look like? It might be a little bit more favourable, but...
Well, pink ball makes a bit of a lottery of that as well.
So, whereas South Africa literally just prepared fast, bouncy, cracky wickets and said, we're going to
Is Optus like that, like the old Wacker was?
It doesn't crack up like the old Wacker, and it's
bounces.
not. Yeah, it bounces, but it moves a bit more off the seam. The Wacker could be the best place in the world to bat once you got through 40 minutes. Once you knew where your off stump was, trust your defence, and it was white. Yes, it was sometimes. It's actually the best place to play fast bowling because it's short. You get under it. If you know where your off stump is and trust your defence. But you don't read too much in the South African series, as Heel said. We won't change our wickets. Our wickets will be the same. Adelaide will be a really good surface. So will the Gabba will be great. It'll be tough work in the first few days, and it'll flatten out to be a great batting track. So we won't change our wickets to suit us.
MCG looks like minefield on day one at the moment as well.
You're going to have to bat well. If it's like
Yeah.
it was in the Shield game or one dayer, you're going to have to bat well there.
Let's get to locks and shocks, shall we? This is this next segment that you nearly jumped ahead to, Hads. What are the things that are locks to happen this series, and what would absolutely shock you if it did happen? Australia, first up.
All right.
What's an absolute lock for Australia?
Alex Carey getting a ton this series
Oh,
for me.
the keeper scoring a ton.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm
Well,
keeper company here, so I'm not going to disagree.
I'm going to go with Alex Carey too, and this is a bit more bold. I think it's a lock that Alex Carey will get 5 catches in the first innings of the first test.
I reckon they're all going to go like second slip, but yeah, I'm on your bandwagon.
Yeah, but you can sort of
And gully.
fudge yourself and
And we
Hey,
don't have
catch
Cameron
A.
Green in the gully, so he's going to catch him.
Yeah.
Yep.
A shock for Australia?
Yep.
What would shock you?
My shock is the first test goes more than 3 days.
Really?
Yeah, I've just got this feeling, don't I? And I keep raving about it. You watch, it'll go day 5 and I'll still be sitting there watching it.
Okay. Rehabbing your knee.
Yeah.
I'll be shocked if Nathan Lyon's not the leading wicket taker.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we
What
know,
makes you say that?
well, they're going to have to score runs somewhere.
Mm.
And every time touring teams come out, they say, "Oh, we're going to go hard at Nathan Lyon." India have done it before.
They played him well 3 years ago.
Yeah, you watch Pant will come really hard. They'll all come really hard at Nathan Lyon, but his role is going to be a lot different to it has been because you haven't got Green there to take those aggressive overs. He came in and bowled 10 overs. 90% of those overs were short and at their head and intimidate. So Mitch Marsh won't do that. He's a different style bowler. He'll get the ball to swing. He's still a very good bowler, but different. So I think they can see Nathan Lyon as a real target, as they do all the time, and he laughs. I'll hit Lyon out of the attack. As soon as I hear those words, Nathan Lyon leading wicket taker.
India, a lock for India.
Oh, Shemi will play 3 tests.
Fair.
He's come back in the domestic cricket last week. He was playing, so there's talk that he might even fly out in time while the first test is on. So we'll wait and see what happens there.
He'll be there. My lock is Virat, top run scorer.
But how many runs?
Oh, well,
Enough?
I don't need to be that bold.
Yeah.
It's just, it wasn't us for specifics.
Will it be enough, though? Will it be serious?
Well, I think I'd be happy for him to make 100 every game and lose. It's fine.
Okay, fair enough. What about a shock for India? Heels?
My shock is that Pant keeps all 5 tests. I don't think he'll keep the whole series.
But play the whole series.
But I think he'll play, but I don't reckon he'll have the gloves the whole time.
Could you see a scenario where if Jarrell plays the first test and he plays the first test and we see 2 keepers in the one test?
Yep. It happened in that test series they just played in. I think
Mm.
Jarrell kept the first innings in one of the games after Pant batted. I wonder how his leg's actually really going to go in Australia conditions when he's keeping back a lot more. He's got to move laterally a lot more than what he did in India. He stood behind the stumps, up to the stumps a lot more. The up and down is obviously going to be not great, but the lateral movement I think is going to hurt him. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a struggle for him. Personally, I don't know how that leg actually is, but that's just a gut feel.
If he stays away from paintball and soccer, he might be okay.
And naps.
What's your shock, Hads, from India's point of view?
Well, I won't be shocked if no one gets fined.
Oh, okay. You think there's going to be a little bit of paprika on top here, is there?
I think this series is going to be quite confrontational.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh.
But
I
Australia,
hope it is as a
Yeah,
fan,
so do
but
I.
I'm not sure.
who starts it from Australia's point of view?
Well,
Heady under the lid.
yeah, someone will start it. They might not even start it. It might be India. Virat Kohli, I think he's going to come out and take Australia on. I think he's going to get himself into the contest, and it'll be interesting to see how the Aussies react.
Will we hear Rishabh Pant a lot?
Yep.
You reckon, over the stumps?
Yep.
There'll be a lot of times through the summer where the commentary will say, well, I'm just going to leave you with Pant
Yeah.
for the next 6 balls.
It's the easiest thing in the world to commentate when someone like that's playing. It's a bit like when Nick Kyrgios is playing tennis. You don't have to say anything. You just let him take over and
Yeah.
provide the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I hope they, keep it open as much as possible because it's bloody hilarious listening to him.
Well, it's quite a big series, and there's been a lot of chat about this has overtaken the Ashes as how big of a series this is going to be. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's a lot of chat that goes on, especially when you got Head, Marnus sort of under the lid in close. Rishabh Pant behind the stumps as well. Alex Carey doesn't say a whole heap.
But Paddy
yeah, why
Fine's
not?
Controversy.
Yeah, but let's turn them up.
Lets his gloves do the talking, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, because they'll have a few new faces in there, and as an opposition team, Australia are trying to make life uncomfortable for them. That mightn't be with their mouth. That might be with their field positions, the way they bowl to them, how close they walk to the opposition. And if that's happening, expect Kohli to react.
Well, I don't think Australia plays like that at the moment, though. Like, we're not a really confrontational side. I know what happened in the Ashes, but like, that's not really our style. But I think we will react that way if India comes hard at us. I wonder how we will react.
Well, that was one of the features of the last series, and we keep on going to the last series, but personnel have changed, characters have changed, form has changed as well. Like Travis Head got dropped during that series. Nathan Lyon took 9 wickets. I mean, according to Hads, that simply will not happen this time. Pujara was outstanding. Was okay, I should say. Pant was outstanding. Is he back up to it with the bat? He showed glimpses against New Zealand. Australia had the top 2 run scorers and wicket takers, but still lost the series. And that was more to do with the fact that India had so many injury worries. My big difference from the India series a few years ago is actually who is in the dressing room providing motivation and instruction to these guys. Not Ravi Shastri, but Gautam Gambhir. I reckon that's a massive factor. I don't know Gautam Gambhir too well. You only know Ravi Shastri through his commentary, really. But on face value, I don't think you could get 2 diametrically opposed personalities than those two. So what's going to happen when there's going to be situations when India's going to be up against it? How does the coaching staff get across to that experienced bunch of players how to walk, how to talk? I don't know if it's going to go down too well.
But I think that's where you need strong leaders within your group, and that's where they might struggle without Rohit, who's been quite influential in that change room for a while. But then that's the scary prospect of that, is that Virat might step up in that role. And for me, that's, as an Aussie, I'm terrified by that because I loved his style of captaincy. The Indians didn't quite enjoy it, but I loved it.
But Bumrah's going to be the captain if Rohit Sharma's not going to be the captain.
But you'd imagine Virat is going to take up a higher role in that regard. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, but there's going to be a lot of changing around as well with players coming in and out, so I don't know how they're going to handle that.
You're a massive rap on Rohit Sharma tactically, as well. So if he's missing for a test or two, that hurts India how? Hugely, or have they got enough out there to get around a game?
I don't know about that. I think Rohit Sharma is a very big loss tactically. He's very calm with everything he does. He doesn't get flustered. Bumrah. We've seen it work for Paddy, but Bumrah's a new bowling captain, and it'll be interesting. He hasn't got his partner in crime, Shami, here for this first test. Is he the sort of captain that goes, just give me the ball, I'll fix it, or give me the ball, I'll fix it, and he breaks himself by the second test match bowling too much? I wonder if the conversation came up because such a big series, and he responds well to leadership, whether they said to Kohli, do you want to do this one test match? Because this test is so important. If you get beaten bad in this, it's hard to come back in Australian conditions. They've done it before, but I wonder if the conversation was had whether Virat Kohli was interested in doing a one-off test.
It wouldn't surprise me if he would have said no. I mean, just thinking about it as a player, I'd be like, nah.
Does he need it now?
Let the next bloke do it. Like, I've already done all that. But I'll support.
Right, predictions.
Anyway,
both of you. Here we go. Quick fire. No dilly-dallying here.
Never been dilly-dallying.
No, certainly not with your Bitcoin instructions to social media followers out there, Hads. Predictions. Where will it be won or lost?
Well, I think it'll be one in the top 4 batting lineups of each side.
Runs. Whoever can set 350, I think wins the test. The fast bowlers for Australia, I think India are going to find it hard to get 250 any of the times. Yep. I think if our fast bowlers get it right and they're fit for the first 3 tests, I think the series could be over by then.
Series winner and scoreline?
Australia 3-0.
I thought you were going to do a McGrath then.
3-0? What's happened to the other 2? Oh.
Melbourne.
I want to say Australia 5-0, but I'm going to go Australia 4-1.
Yeah.
Where did India win?
Melbourne. Gut feel.
Okay.
No science behind that.
None?
No.
Australia 2-1, I'll say. I think Adelaide, India,
Ooh,
with Shami back.
36. Okay, go.
Man of the match, Shemi.
Yeah.
And you got a bit of rain.
Of course.
Not,
I reckon,
not
you
in
know,
Sydney.
Sydney's
I
gonna
reckon
hose
Sydney's
down.
going to get 5 days of sunshine.
What about that storm in Brisbane you just experienced? What about 5 of those each afternoon? Most runs?
For Australia or for the series?
Series.
Alex Carey.
Alex Carey.
Whoa.
God, number 7 wicketkeeper.
Usman Khawaja.
Uzi.
Was he?
Yep, I've gone really rogue, but I don't care.
Most wickets?
Nathan Lyon.
Yes, you've said that.
Josh Hazelwood.
Shout out to Mitch.
Mitch plays
Make
his
sure-
role.
Player of the series.
Player of the series. Come on.
Pat Cummins.
Well, it's hard now because I've got most runs of the way, so it's going to have to be an all-rounder. Oh, I have no idea. Josh Hazelwood. I'll go that way.
Okay,
again.
there you
Yeah.
go. The Hoff. There you go. There's our predictions. And you feel welcome to send them through and let them know
I feel like I'm
how
gonna get
much they
slammed
What about
know.
on
yours?
one. Yeah.
Mine, okay. Most runs, Steve Smith. Most wickets, Pat Cummins. Player of the series, Alex Carey.
Oh, I was going to go. Damn, I should have
Mm.
gone
There you go. Now, player of the series, actually, either Alex Carey or this next gentleman we're going to hear from, because he could go off. Travis Head. Before summer, a couple of weeks ago, I sat down with Travis Head, and we've listed him here as an all-rounder because he's brilliant form of the ball as much as with the bat as well in the last 6 months. But we're not talking about that. We're not talking about his batting. We're not talking about his crafty off-spin or his 7-Eleven sunnies that he likes to wear at celebrations. Now, I sat down with Travis to talk about the art of fielding at bat pad. It's an important role, and as you're about to hear, I hit something of a sore point. Travis Head, let's talk about being a bat pad. Are you comfortable?
Got a shiver just then. No, not comfortable. Marnus's job, but doesn't want it.
Why do you do it?
Well, because I have to. And I'm the nicest one out of all of them to do it. So, depends who's bowling.
Yeah.
Refuse to do it for Marnus's bowling. I'll do it for Gaz. Gaz isn't too bad, and but we'll see. If I drop a couple in the start of the summer, I might be out there.
We'll get into this subject and go deep into it and the psychology of it all. But overall, isn't the last person into the team generally the one that's expected to go in there? And it's only because Perth in WA, they don't breed cricketers under 2.5 metres, so you have to go in there.
I was just about to say he led me to last. I think the last one that come in was Greeny, and he's 6 foot, he's 11 foot, and bowls thunderbolts. So there's no chance of him. The closest you can get him is Gully, I think. But yeah, so it falls on the next bloke, and I think me and Marnus are the next two blokes that come in since then. So need some change up, don't we? Need some fresh blokes to come in.
It sounds like you need people to retire.
Yeah. Yeah, we got rid of one already, so let's see how the summer goes.
When did you first have a go in there?
The young bloke at South Australia, I was in there for a little bit. Lucky enough, I got the captaincy pretty early, so I went straight to mid-on. And then didn't have to do that for a long time. But yeah, I think it's always been the one to throw the helmet or two. It's starting to get a little bit more now, like who's the best at it. You look at Bangers at WA and he just loves it. Marnus was in a sweet spot there, but now he thinks he's going to get more run outs, so he's moved himself out. So yeah, I guess it starts with the youngest normally, but now I think it's trending towards who's the best at it. But in this team, they haven't quite worked that out yet because I'm still doing it.
So if another vacancy opens up at the top of the order, you are pushing hard for one C. Bancroft, are you?
Yeah, Bangers. Who else have been around there? Anyone really. Next person's in. The next person that's in, Marcus Harris, whoever. Next person in's doing it. Renners. There's a list of guys that I've got on my hit list, and then the pads against thrown straight to them.
Is there any part of it, though, that's enjoyable?
No.
None. Not one part.
Oh,
of it.
the only part is you don't stay on the boundary and cop it from the fans. So that's probably the only good thing. Like if you're in India or England, you don't have to stay on the boundary and cop heat from the crowd. So it's probably the only plus. But then you got to stand really close to Marnus and smudge at first slip and leg slip and etc. And then you got to hang out with the guys in the middle. So there's all trade-offs.
I was going to say, we've talked about this before about you, especially at, say, Headingley, just having to stand there for or it was 45 overs a day because you swap sides sometimes, but just cop it from that stand over there.
Yeah, no, I was pretty happy to do bat pad at that stage. But the crowd's not too bad. You got to get them on your side early. It can be a bit of fun, but yeah, when you're 3 or 4 tests in, it grows a bit old when you hear the same gags every time. But it's probably the only positive about bat pad.
Well, the good thing for you though is that you're upholding your standards. You're not like grassing 3 or 4 on purpose, so you have to get out of there. You're okay in there. What is key? Anyone who's sadistic enough to want to do this role, what is key in that particular role?
Never train it. Just go out in the middle and catch them. No,
Right.
No, Ron's into me. You catch a few at training here and there. It's real intensity work at the training. You stand there and catch them off a little bouncy board or something. A football. There's a few different things we've come up with. Again, that's probably the only positive. There's no high balls. The other stuff you just go off and do. It's like keeping work.
Yep.
They go off and catch little slow underarms. The bat pad works pretty good. You stand there with your helmet on and you catch little underarms off the bats and away we go. So it's all reaction. You got to hope they go in. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But there's a fair bit of luck that goes in when you're that close and there's a fair bit going on. So lucky enough I've held on to a couple.
When the ball is being bowled, what are you watching?
The batter's hands. I
hands.
watch the batter's gloves.
Yep.
So wherever the gloves go, I try to track that and then hope the ball spits out.
So it's not a case of as soon as you see that back foot go back, it's just
if I see the
fire in the hole
if I
stuff.
see the hands slightly go above hips,
Yeah.
I'm head down.
You're out.
I'm out. Yeah. If they slightly cock like there's going to be somewhat of an aggressive shot, I'm out of there. So when you see the nice slow replays and that, you'll see the top of my head and my arms tucked in.
Like a hermit crab.
Yeah. I really enjoy when I'm in there for bouncer plan. That's the funnest time.
Okay.
Because you know it's going to be short, and so I just stand there and just... I already know it's short, I already know he's going to play a pull shot, so you just duck the whole time and hope the bloke behind you catches it. That's good. Need shoulder pads for that.
What's the worst one you've worn? Like a bruise that just lingered for a week?
I got hit in the forearm. When did I get hit in the forearm? Last summer, the summer before. Bouncer plans and gave her that one and hit me straight on the forearm, and I threw the toys out of the cot. Wasn't too happy about it. I was filthy about it, actually. It was everyone else's amusement, but yeah, no, I wasn't happy about it. I can't remember where it was, but
Where did the
I've shut it
complaint
out.
go and what was the
to
reaction?
all of them. Anyone that come in close enough to me, I gave it to all of them. Especially blokes that were being a cat and not getting in there. So yeah, I wasn't over the moon.
Now, when Marnus was in there, it was very noticeable on Stump Mike that, Marnus loves a chat.
Yeah.
What's your style with all this? Is it sneaky?
Can you hear me?
Snide? Not a heap.
Exactly. No, I don't say too much.
No?
Nah. I'm trying not to get hit.
It's not an economy of words. It's like what you say is it's quality, not quantity.
Yeah. It's more so just giving everyone else a stick. So, yeah, just most times just, try not to get hit. Bit of bant with Kez every now and then. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you play any kind of like throw off? Do you throw any throw off lines to batters about talking to the wicket keeper, wanting to hit one pair of ears only?
No, the bouncer plans, it's more so I just tell them to hit it over me. Mind the shins, don't hit me in the head. Don't sweep it. All those sort of things. Just keep the ball away from me. Just hit it on the offside. You're good enough to hit it on the offside. Keep it away. Don't hit me in the shin. Don't hit me on the kneecap.
Sounds like you really enjoy this.
Yeah, love it. They know. So it's an open book with Ron and Pat, obviously. They know how much I dislike it, but I'll still do it. I like them, so I'll still do it for them. I think everyone thinks the same thing. Don't get in the shins. Don't get hit anywhere else.
Yeah.
Catch it if it pops up. If you get a nice dolly, catch it. Everything else is a free hit.
Do you like trying to affect runouts there? You've done it.
That was a fluke.
That was a fluke.
That was just a fluke.
Yeah.
Again, like reactional, afflict it, hit the stumps. Won't be able to do it again. Same as like Craig Brathwaite. I caught him somehow. He was unlucky. Like an ankle high, whipped off the pads and I caught it.
Yeah.
I did catch COVID that day. Maybe that's what caused it. Set my body into absolute shock, and I've caught the spicy cough. Those things. Every dog has their day, don't they? In there, so they're the things that keep you in there. Unfortunately.
What about when you're batting? Who is the lippiest around the bat?
When I'm batting,
Yeah, in international cricket.
everyone builds builds relationships with everyone now, so it's not too bad. Like, I think the only sort of guy in there was the Ashes was would have been Brookie. Was in there a lot with obviously the bouncer plan, and I'd always walk out there and ask him what the wicket was doing, knowing that I was just going to bowl bounces at me, and then sort of get a giggle, and then say, mind your head, watch out, I'll hit him past you. I'll try not to hit him into you if you don't hit him into me, sort of thing. So mutual respect between two bat patters.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's like the Wicketkeepers Club.
There's so much dislike between the two of us about doing it, but someone has to do it.
Fair enough too. Okay, unrelated question. How good an invention, like sum it up to something else that exists in the world, how good an invention is the impact sub rule?
Yeah, impact sub rule is built for me, which is fantastic. I got it early in the season last year, so lucky I know the coach well. Yeah, looked after him on the golf course and a few other ways, and look what happens. You end up an impact player. So it's it's not a bad gig, eh?
Because everyone I've asked here today, with a few cricketers milling around where we're recording this interview, I've said, what do you reckon of the impact sub rule? And they all, to a man, have said, it's shit unless you're Travis Head.
Yeah.
So
it feels right. I felt like I got the only hard part was if you had to bat second. That was the only hard part. The easy part was going out and warm up in your sneakers and watching the toss. That was the best part. And you either go back and get a bite to eat, or you quickly did a warm up to bat. So, I felt like I got the blueprint right by the end of it. It was good fun, but there was a bit of a curse. Everyone kept getting first ballers that were impact players. I did actually get one late in the tournament, so there was a curse at one stage of impact players never got runs in the second innings. So
it's because you weren't involved.
Yeah, it happens. Sometimes you get a good one.
You're trying to hang on to this, aren't you? Because
definitely, if it goes, I'll be spewing.
As we sit here right now, they're debating it.
Yeah, well, I know. Hopefully, Wiz is staying strong on the debate and holding strong for the. Hopefully, I'll be back at Hyderabad, but hopefully Hyderabad is staying strong by it, so I can sneak back in there.
Do you want to see it infiltrate other parts of the world?
Test cricket would be fantastic. I wouldn't have to do bat pad.
No, good point. Good point.
No, yeah, it's an interesting topic. If you're in it, you're stoked with it. So, I'm all for it.
Travis Head, thanks for summing up your deep devotion to bat pad.
Yeah, love bat pad, love impact players.
Cheers, mate. So that was Travis Head. He confirmed this week he will be back under the lid for this series, even though McSweeney's come in. One point as well, just quickly, before we get to a break on this mammoth episode. Hopefully Australia don't miss Cameron Green too much, not just with bat ball, but fielding everything within about a 10-metre radius when he's in there at gully.
Well, I said that before, like no Cam Green in the gully is going to make a huge difference, and who is actually going to go in there, I'm not sure. But that's where an advantage of a McSweeney not under the lid comes into play, because he's very good in the field.
Because it used to be, new boy, under you go.
No.
Enjoy yourself under there.
Leave McSweeney roaming with Marnus. They'll stop everything in the outfield, and you just need catches behind the wicket.
Well, you could go like for like replacement actually, Gully. You could put Stark there.
No.
He's got as good as hands as anyone.
I've seen him there. He was fielding there in the Shield game, and I was like, get out of there.
Former keeper.
He can catch though, but yuck. Like, no, but he cops one on the finger. Ouchie.
Well, you can't. God, he could get bitten by a snake. He walks out the driveway. But you know what? The art of fielding a bat pad.
Yeah.
I thought Travis Head was a lot more clever than that. The art of fielding a bat pad is you drop your first catch. And the first time they play a sweep shot, you turn your back. Yeah. And then the ball pops up and they go, you're hopeless, get out of there. You go, oh, sorry, everyone. Yeah. Straight to mid-wicket. Bat pad's a horrible position.
Good point, Hads. Very good point. Tip for young listeners out there. Off to a quick drinks break. We're back in a sec with plenty more. Bingo's on the way. Back here on Willow Talk. Great to have your company. Hads and Hill still here, but we're just going to pause for a second. Hads is just going to drop outside to check his Instagram status. It's our second interview of the episode. Early on Wednesday morning, Heels and I chatted with former England captain Michael Vaughan. Not so much about this Test summer, a little bit about that, but the next one as well. His thoughts on England and how they're travelling. Here's Vaughanie. Joining us now is Fox Cricket commentator Michael Vaughan. Now, Vaughanie is part of the expert commentary team on Fox Cricket this summer, where you can watch every ball of the Australia-India Test Series live, ad break free, and in 4K. Plus, this summer, KO Sports is bringing back the Hindi feed. So do yourself a favour this summer and tune into Fox Cricket and KO Sports. Vaughnie, thank you for joining us. Much anticipation about this series. Cricket lovers around the world absolutely intrigued about what might happen. I'm guessing you're the same. Or, as a proud Englishman, are you hoping both teams lose?
Yeah. Well, I think in terms of the quality that we've seen over the last few series, Australia, India, it's the best series in the world at the minute. They're the best two teams. I have heard one or two people say that the Border-Gavaskar is beyond the Ashes these days. What a load of nonsense that is. The Ashes will always be the greatest of all the series. But in terms of quality, in terms of mindset, the real stars on both sides of both Australia and India, this is going to be an epic. The last four series, obviously India have had the better hand. They've played some good cricket. I just fancy that Australia might fancy to get this one back in their favour.
You say you seem to think Australia's got the edge here, but where do you reckon the series will be won and lost? Is it with the ball? Is it with the bat? Or is it the wicketkeepers?
Yeah. I think if you look at both bowling units, I mean, the Australian quartet is as good as they've ever had. So that Indian batting lineup, who have just been bowled out cheaply in their own backyard against New Zealand, yes, different conditions. It was ragging square back in India. There's a few of them under a bit of pressure. The extra bounce in Perth, I'm intrigued to see how both sets of batters go against both sets of bowlers on that bouncy Optus pitch. When you think Australia haven't played Test cricket for a number of months, and obviously India are coming from playing on ragamuffin pitches back in India, I'll be intrigued to see how both sets of batters go. I think the first 2 days are going to be intriguing to see which team settles the quickest. I think it'll come down to the batting units, of which batting unit can just get... I remember 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I used to think 500 was like a par score on these Aussie wickets. I think 350 now with the quality of bowlers that they'll be facing. So if India can find a way of getting their number 4 in rhythm and form like he has done in the past in Virat Kohli, I think they can be very competitive, but it's a tall order. And if Australia's number 4, he's back at number 4, Steve Smith finds that flow of batting that we've seen so often in the past, that is probably where the series will be decided. It might come down to the number 4s. Which of the number 4s has the better of the series?
Also, below Steve Smith, Vaughnie, in the order will be Travis Head and Mitch Marsh, who have barely picked up a bat in the last couple of weeks. Travis Head, obviously busy helping bring in a new human to the world, and Mitch doing what he does. Who, in your experience, and this works for some cricketers, doesn't work for others, can you recall in your days, was it a Freddie Flintoff? You just had to give him a can of Red Bull and off he went and didn't really matter about what kind of cricket he was playing? Who has it worked for in your experience that coming in fresh is the ideal prep?
Yeah, it was a different can, to be honest with Fred. Look, it's a different era. I look at India, they've had an inter-squad game at the WACA. I'm a bit old school. I think you're better off playing a real competitive game of cricket and trying to win, leading into a big series. But the team I used to play for England, they generally get on the golf course, whack a few balls, and get out and play Test match cricket. These players are playing so much these days, 12 months of the year, that when they have a breather, I look at Alex Carey. Actually, he got 98 not out in the last Test in New Zealand. And then he had like 6 months away from playing the game, came back in the one-day series in England and played great, and he's played well, obviously, in state cricket. So sometimes a break can be as good as anything, particularly with the modern player that they're playing so much. But I would like at least a knock or two in a competitive game going into such a hot series like this one's going to be. And you look at Travis Head, Mitchell Marsh, Alex Carey, those three. If the top 4, and without David Warner at the top of the order, who's a dasher. McSweeney's more of just an orthodox player. Usman, we know the way that he plays, and you got Labuschagne at 3 and Steve at number 4. That top 4, if they do the donkey work and nullify Bumrah and Cohen, get them into their second and third spells, and then unleash the likes of Travis and Mitchell Marsh when they're a little bit tired, they could have a field day later on in the day. But the modern player is very, very different to my day, where you used to play lots of games and make sure that you at least had a competitive game or two. These guys just seem to be able to rock up, play, fresh mind and fresh game. That's pretty much the mindset these days.
I feel like if there's 2 guys in the Australian team that could do that
Mm.
and benefit from it, it's those two. And an added perspective as well, like 2 newborns as well. Mitch,
Yes.
first-time dad, so maybe it might be a nice little rejuvenation for them.
Yeah, maybe the getting back to cricket totally fresh is
Well,
exactly
also,
what they need.
Matt Short said after they had their baby that it was nice to get some sleep back on tour.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
maybe it's a good
In
thing.
the
Yeah.
solo hotel room. Hey, Vaughnie, this Australian team under Pat Cummins, like the especially without Davey, who provided a bit of an edge out there, do you look at this team and go, that's a nice bunch of blokes, maybe too nice?
I don't know if you can be too nice, but they're an Australian side, I guess, that you look back over the generations. I think there's some generations that passed that played it probably slightly different. But I like the way they play. I'm a huge admirer of Pat Cummins, the way that he leads the team and the way that he plays his cricket. He seems to be the coolest customer out there when he's either got the ball in hand, tactically manoeuvring his field. And in recent times, when he gets the bat in hand and they're under a chase, he gets the job done because he's got great composure. I like to see a bit of confrontation. I'm sure over the next few weeks we'll have some of that. And I look at actually India, and the last 2 times they've been here, they've had some charismatic leaders. And one's going to be sat next to me in the commentary box in Ravi Shastri. He is a motivational style character, and they don't have that style of coach anymore in India. And obviously Virat Kohli only played 1 test last time round, but it was his style of team which was in the face of Australia. They don't have that style of leader. So I'm intrigued to see how India go without a Ravi and a Virat in a combination. But they're up against a different Australian side who will play it completely differently, but it'll still be highly skilled. I mean, this Aussie team, they've not played a great deal of cricket, but they just seem to know how to get the job done. And I think that's going to be the big challenge for India. The fact that Australia haven't won this series for a number of years, and Pat Cummins, as I said, he doesn't lose many, so I think it'll be difficult for India.
Do you think, in particular, this first test without Rohit Sharma, then do you think maybe Virat Kohli might, obviously he's had scans and we don't know what's about to unfold, but do you think Virat Kohli might then step up and go back to the old school Virat Kohli, in particular in this first test, and go, you know what, I'm obviously not captain, but maybe this is my chance to be a leader and go back to the old ways a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I watch Virat a lot closely. I mean, he's got 200s in the last 60 odd Test match innings, and he's a legend of the game. An absolute world class performer. But I do watch him and think that when he's playing at his best, he has that little bit of mongrel inside him, and he prods the opposition. And I'm not telling Virat Kohli how to play, but in Australia, when you're up against this Australian juggernaut and the hotbed, particularly in Perth, I reckon the last time he played there in 2018-19, that 100 that he got is probably up there with the greatest Test match 100s. It was a ridiculous pitch. It was flying all over the place, and he stood tall and got a magnificent century. If he can do that this week and get off to a flying start personally, I think that's going to give that team a huge lift, because I get a feeling that this team, they're not dependent on Virat's runs because there's some real quality around him, but I think the mindset of the team may depend on Virat's runs. And if he's doing really well, I think the rest of them will absolutely fly. If Virat struggles like he has done of late, I think that can have a negative effect on the rest of the team. So I'm intrigued to see how he comes out and plays, and where he gets that kind of that buzz of energy that we've seen in the past. I used to call him the Duracell Bunny because he just seems to have more energy than most. I want to see him getting back to that over the next few weeks.
Vaughnie, beyond this series, which is intriguing enough, we'll look ahead. England just about to tour New Zealand, and all of a sudden inform New Zealand. But let's jump in the time machine 12 months ahead. Say if today the Ashes starts, who wins the Ashes on current form, and what's the scoreline?
Australia. I mean, England are they're the greatest team in the world to watch. They keep you on the edge of your seat. They're a brilliant team to follow, to pundit on. They give you so many talking points, but they play such an aggressive, risky game. When the ball does anything laterally, it only has to swing a little bit or spin a little bit, and they get bowled out far too quickly. And I think against the quartet, and if this 4 bowlers from Australia are still fit next year, against this England batting lineup, particularly in Australia, where I look at the teams that win here. Generally, they play aggressively, but they always have one player that is an old school, boring player. Alistair Cook back in 2010, he batted forever, wore the Aussie bowlers down. You look at Pujara, he batted forever. Ajinkya Rahane last time batted for a long period of time to wear the bowlers down. England don't have many of those style of players.
The best one still reverses over the slips. So.
Yeah, exactly. First ball.
Yeah.
They might wear Australia down for 7 or 8 overs, but I just don't think it's enough. So I think for England to win here in a year's time, I think the bowlers are going to have to be fit. Jofra Archer, Mark Wood, Josh Tong, Ollie Stone, Gus Atkinson. They're all going to have to be fit so they can rotate. And the batting unit are going to have to play with some smartness. They can't just play one style of cricket, one brand, because it just won't work. And hopefully over the next year, and playing in New Zealand's the perfect kind of year before trial out, similar conditions against real quality in the New Zealand team. So I'm intrigued to see if they can just go up and down in the gears and realise, particularly the Kookaburra ball, we know that for 20 overs it does a bit and then it does nothing. So if you can nullify those first 20 overs and just lose 1 or 2, you can really expand to get a decent score. But if you lose 4 or 5 early and play in the aggressive way, you're likely to do that against the real quality that Australia have. I think England will come unstuck. So they might have to arrive in Australia in a year's time with a few brains.
There you go, Heels. Michael Vaughan making a pitch to stay in Australia for the next 12 months and not go back to England after this summer because he's tipped Australia in the Ashes.
Well,
there you go.
What I've heard in summary there is that England are claiming a moral 0-5 loss.
Moral victory.
Moral victory, though.
Whatever happens, we'll have won.
Yeah, but geez, it was good to watch. Yeah, right. There's a lot of talk about Bazball. I mean, you just summed it up there and hoping that England brings some brains to Australia next year, which I'm going to assume is going to make the Instagram reel. But Vaughan ball, what would that have looked like what did that look like under your captaincy?
Well,
what is Vaughan ball?
I don't really have a Vaughan ball, unfortunately. I was very much on the front foot, wanting to be aggressive. That was first and foremost, and I like the England team's mindset in terms of trying to get on top of the opposition and trying to, own the bowlers and try and make sure that they know that you're coming at them. But fundamentally, in Test match cricket, it's a long game for the reason that you can give yourself a bit of time. And if the ball's moving around, I've seen enough Test cricket to realise that if you're going to be ultra aggressive against the moving ball, it's just not going to work. You've just got to have an ability to soak up the pressure. And England's mindset at the minute is to soak up pressure. They believe soaking up pressure is by being ultra aggressive and trying to whack the ball to the boundary. My belief in soaking up pressure is now and again you've got to just leave the ball and let the ball go through the keeper and wear the opposition down, and then you can get back on the front foot. So Vaughan ball, when it was at its finest, we tried to do that, but I had some, Freddie Flintoff, Kevin Peterson, Marcus Trescothick, players that were naturally going to score quick anyway. And I would always encourage any player to be natural and play their own game. And if they had the chance to go big and go hard and whack the ball out the ground, go for it. And I think in that you need 1 or 2 players that can just play the traditional game. So Joe Root, and it's been great for me to see Joe Root in the last year or so. He played a reverse ramp against Bumrah in India and was caught in the slip when the game was hot. It was right on a knife edge. We haven't seen that shot too many times since, and Joe's got back to playing the legendary way that we know that Joe Root can play, and I think he is the key. If Joe Root can play the Joe Root method and the Joe Root way, which he's been doing for many, many years, he can be that glue that allows the firecrackers to explode and play the way that they want to play. But the answer to the question, there's no Vaughan ball. I wasn't that good to have a brand of cricket named after me, but sensible cricket is what I'm after, with a little bit of icing on top when you're trying to be aggressive.
Here's a curly one for you, Vaughnie. Fox commentary team, you love being a part of it, and it's great to listen to. You've got the kind of great diversity of voices in there. But say the door got locked in the first session and they couldn't open it, and you were stuck in there with 2 people to co-commentate an entire day's play with from the Fox commentary team. Who would you be choosing?
Oh, that's cruel. I love them all. I have to say, it's going to be a long day. There's just 3 of us there, yeah? Mm-hmm. I have to have Ravi Shastri next to me. He's an absolute gun. He's unbelievable. His capturing of the moment and his voice and his his humorous side as well is just fantastic. But also, if I'm going to be there all day, I've got to be laughing. So Kerry O'Keefe's got to sit to my left. I only have to look at Kerry and I smile and I chuckle. And his knowledge of cricket, he watches more cricket than anybody. And his knowledge of all the players, he brings up some names that, we've never heard of. And he's always pretty much spot on with his assessment of a lot of these younger players. Sam Constance was a name he brought up a year ago. And he's been close to obviously getting a call up this time round. So, Kerry O'Keefe is a bundle of humour, but also a bundle of cricketing knowledge.
I'd listen.
3 experts on the panel there. Who's going to run the show? That's what I want to know.
Ball by ball.
Ravi.
Ravi.
Okay.
Ravi can grab that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting. Now, obviously, our third member of our trio, Hads.
Yeah, he's just ducked out to
Not
check
here.
his Instagram page because it got hacked, so he's trying to get back into it. But
Not
anyway,
here.
he's not here for this chat.
He's still at home crying. But what we really wanted to know is, do you have any dirt on him that we can use in the podcast at all?
Brad Haddin, do I have dirt on him?
Do you know who that is?
I don't think I have dirt on Hads. I did notice he was at the Six and Out concert last Friday. He runs away from the stage when the music starts because any one of us could get called up at any stage, and he seems to have disappeared every time that they've been on the stage. So I don't have much to. He was a pest playing against England, wasn't he, when he used to come in at number 7 at 120 for 5 and always get Australia out of a load of shit. So
don't give him praise.
No,
we don't
no,
want that.
No.
he was good, and he's great. He's an analyst on cricket. I don't have any dirt on him. I can ring a few people up to try and find some for you there.
No, you made a good point, though. He is an expert smoke bomber. He is the king of the smoke bomb, Hads. He just disappears when you think he's there. One last one, Vaughnie, before we let you go. I know you got to prep for the test. A listener named Dan got wind we were chatting to you and asked you to say up the Blades. I don't know if that's on your radar.
Oh, no, that's not good. They beat us.
The other half,
Sheffield,
aren't you?
Yeah, I'm Sheffield Wednesday. The Blades are Sheffield United, and Joe Root, Sheffield United. And Joe Root very rarely messages these days. He's gone beyond talking to an old ex kind of player that he came through my club, through my county, and obviously ended up doing the same as me, captaining the country. But he did seem to be quite vocal on social media and on my WhatsApp group when Sheffield United beat us 1-0 a week on Sunday ago. So I haven't responded to his messages. He was singing with the manager. The manager of Sheffield United is a good friend of ours, a guy called Chris Wilder. And Joe Root was in the middle of a pub with a Sheffield United manager singing Sheffield United football songs. Come on. I think it's the first game he's been to in about 15 years.
No wonder you tipped Australia. Vaughnie, thank you, mate. Really appreciate your time. All the best with Fox Cricket. Look forward to listening over what should be a great summer.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys.
So that was Michael Vaughan. Thanks to Fox Cricket. And Vaughnie struck a bit of a nerve there with Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday. It is a big rivalry. So, he was happy to talk about everything. Tipped Australia to win the Ashes if it was played right now. Hads, how you going over there? You've logged back in?
Well, I've logged back in, but all my password and everything's changed. So that didn't work. I thought Sam was a tech guy, but, mate, Vaughnie's a good man. Good to have a beer with or a gin. Yeah, he's. I like his views on the game, actually.
Good cricket mind. Now, cricket, as we know, is a weird sport. Games go for 5 days. One break is 40 minutes while the other is 20. Work that out. Bad light can stop play even with the lights on. You can play through rain but can't start in it. There's a silly point, a backward point, a deep point. An edge through slips can be worth the same as a perfectly timed cover drive that you've never hit better. Shit bowling gets wickets. It's mad. Cricket also has its own language. So we're going to put together a bingo card of the common phrases you'll hear this summer, either in the commentary box, stump mic, or in the media. But given there is so many, Hads and Heels are going to make one bingo card each from the phrases submitted to the Secret Cricket Club by the Secret Cricket Club members. Thank you for that, and the listeners through our social channels. They'll take it in turns to fill out a 4x4 bingo card. So 16 spaces on them. We're going to put them on social media for fans to follow along this summer. Get yourself a printer, print them out, and there's your drinking game starting on Friday morning or Friday afternoon.
Long weekend.
In the East. Very long weekend. So, everyone, we've got 32 here. I won't read them all out, but I'll let you go one for one. Shall we?
This could be a long segment.
It could be a long segment, but we want to get to the stage where we've got 2 options for a bingo card and we want this to take off over summer. Ladies first.
So excited.
What's your first choice to put on the bingo card that we're going to hear this summer?
Well,
Heels?
I've put a few of my own in, and they'll be sporadically
We'll
through
go
there.
your first 4, actually. We'll go 4 at a time.
Oh, all right. Straight under the pump. Okay. I just lost it. I had one.
There's only 40 there.
We're just going to cut out this break. Oh, here we go. All right. So my first 4, I'm going to go with good areas.
Yep.
Definitely going to be said.
Probably behind a stump mic in the first over.
No, it'll be said by a commentary team.
Mhm.
Slips are too close. Always comes up.
Mark Waugh.
Yep. I've written my own here. If it's hitting the stumps, it's out.
Okay.
And that directly goes with get rid of umpire's call.
Yeah, it will at some stage.
Yep.
One's hitting the outside, and yeah.
Yep. So they're my first 4.
Hads, over to you.
Overrate's an issue.
Yes.
Cricket in India is religion.
Religion. Yes.
No run.
First ball that
Alright.
Marnus faces.
And nice, Gary.
Nice Gary. Yeah. Is Carey a big nice Gary guy?
No.
Marnus is.
And Steve Smith at first slip.
Yeah, when he gets bored, Smith will do it.
Heels, back to you. Your bingo card.
Or I've also come up with an even covering of grass. That will definitely be said.
Yep. Pitch report. So get in early for that one.
Yep. Shot of the day.
Yep.
That's a shot of the day.
Said 8 times a day.
Yep. I'm going to include Marnus trying to convince everyone to review anything because that's an easy one. That should have been first.
Yeah.
And also I'm going to roll with it'll do a bit early.
Hads.
Well, this is going to be the first thing we hear. Good toss to lose. If it seems it spins,
See, spins, yes.
he'll do a bit early.
Do a bit early, yep.
Didn't I just say that?
Join that. No, you're allowed to.
Oh, we can both go the same.
No, you can't.
you can't
Sam's
have one.
saying you can't go the same.
It's like the whole draft situation again.
It's a draft.
Okay.
You can't have
Know
that.
2 pace wicket.
2 pace wicket.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
love that.
And one more, Hads.
Marnus has struggled with balls over 140.
Oh, that's his own.
That will be David Warner in the first session on KO and Fox, I dare say.
Yeah.
Heels, over to you.
Well, I struggle with this one because it's Channel 7, but punter predicting a wicket. And also crucial first hour, this one. Especially after, winning the toss, losing the toss and being sent into bat.
Have you ever had a situation in Test match cricket where the first hour of the match didn't matter?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, don't worry about this. We can be 5 for 40. Who gives a shit? We're
Yeah.
still going to make 800.
Yep.
First hour didn't matter. First hour
So
important.
punter predicting we get crucial first hour here.
Yep.
And at some point, probably in Adelaide with the pink ball, it is all happening.
All happening. Yep. Howie will rely on that one.
It
He
is
doesn't
all
mind it, as the
happening.
great Bill Lawry would say, and he says it. So, yeah, I reckon Howie's good for that one.
And I'm going to also roll selfishly. Did someone say KFC?
Still getting royalties, are we?
Because it might be coming out of my mouth. I hope it's played a lot.
Not too much in rehab, okay?
No, I mean like the ad. Yeah.
Okay.
You'll
Don't
see
sit
me.
there for 5 days eating
You'll see me
KFC.
eating a burger. It's great.
Fair enough.
IPL auction starts today.
Yeah.
Well, you'll know that on the Channel 7 coverage when punter won't be there. Hey, what about their poor roster? Massive hole in it. Yeah? Shit, I've cramped.
Athletes. We're only athletes in this podcast.
You've been on the drink.
My happy's cramped. So I told you it was a long episode. Keep going.
There was never a single there.
Never a single there, yeah.
Ooh.
Someone will be running. Who will be the first person to be run out?
Like KL Rahul or someone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Played 2 spinners in Sydney.
I reckon you do now, don't you? These days? Back again?
Don't need them.
Second new ball.
What about it?
That's what we said.
That's all
Oh,
it
okay.
says.
Second new ball? Yeah. Looking forward to the second new ball.
Oh, I've got a good one too. Have I another one?
Have one.
You got
yeah,
one more?
yeah,
Yeah.
Save it,
No,
save
no,
it,
no.
save it. No, you got another row to fill.
I need to fill it now. I'm just
Yeah.
going to. I've never seen that before in a test match.
Okay.
Ooh.
Are
Okay.
you going to say that?
Something always happens in an India-Australia series, and we'll go, I have never seen that before.
Heels, back to you for your last four.
Last four. All right, I'm going to go bowls a heavy ball. That'll be said about Mitch Marsh coming into the attack.
Yeah.
Bowls a heavy ball.
Yep.
I love positive mindset. Positive. He's got such a great positive mindset. And this is a big moment in the game when Alex Carey comes to the crease and makes 100. And my last and final one is not a comment, but Isha Guha saying something inappropriate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's 100% going to happen.
You got Ish saying something that will make Kerry O'Keefe just give Kerry some material for
Correct.
the rest of the day.
Yep.
So Ish, inappropriate. Hads, you got 3 more to fill
I'm
in.
gonna be drunk.
Skull laughing at his own jokes.
That'll be ticked off in his first roster assignment.
Steve Smith looks at home at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yep. You got one? I got one for you.
And Triple M rocks cricket.
That is said at the end of every over.
Thanks to Lexus Chatswood.
Joey and Phil, thank you again.
I would say on Triple M's call that something will happen spectacularly on the first morning that has James Brayshaw commentating like it's a AFL grand final. Because he gets into it early. I remember some of the early...
Mark
there'll be
Taylor
like 4
talking
wickets.
about Fujitsu.
Yeah, there'll be like 4 wickets in the first session, and it's all happening here at Optus
So
Stadium.
is that your last one? Mark Taylor Fujitsu?
Mate, I've just had about 15 comebacks to my head. Merv Hughes talking about beers and meat pies.
Anything's possible with Merv.
You've had your say.
So that's bingo, everyone. We're going to put that up on social media. Heels has done her bingo card. Hads has got his bingo card. We'll put them up and enjoy yourself over summer, listening to whatever you're listening to, however you're taking in the test matches. Let's get to the IPL auction, shall we? And the IPL mega auction is on this Sunday, and they've actually done the time. The Indian broadcasters have made sure that it runs off the back, I think, of day 3, straight into the IPL auction. Made for television event, basically. It's actually in Saudi Arabia, which may give an indication of where investment might be coming from soon in cricket, especially when it comes to the IPL. The PIF, Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, which has a limitless amount of cash.
Well, they
You could
actually...
invest in women's cricket.
Yeah, they sponsored the billboards.
Aramco.
Promoting, I think it was 2 IPLs ago, a holiday in Saudi.
Okay. There you go. Well, there's 574 players up for auction, but fear not, it's not all 574 are just going to go through, and it's not made that way. They manufactured it a little bit. There's 37 Aussies, but there's only one in the pot of 12 marquee players that are up first in 2 groups of 6. That one being Mitchell Starc. There's a lot of big-name Indian players there as well. So have you got your head around how it exactly works, this?
Yep.
Or are you staying out of it?
I've got my head around it.
Okay.
Hads has
fair
just
enough.
shown us these 15 possibilities of which way
Yeah.
Punjab are going to go.
Ridiculous. And we'll get into that in a moment. So you've got your 12, those 2 groups of 6, including Mitch. Give it another woo if you want. Stephen the Snake is about to get some
Mortgage. Yep.
food to feed him. Then it's the cap players in groups of their specialisation. For example, batters, all-rounders, keepers, fast bowlers, spinners. Like batters, for instance. Warner's put his name up. Fraser McGurk's still there. All-rounders, Mitch Marsh, Glenn Maxwell, and Marcus hit it out of the ground in Hobart at the exact right time. Stoinis. So there. Then it's the uncapped Indian players. Then it's back to the capped players in their groups. Once those first 4 rounds are done, the auction speeds up, apparently.
Acceleration stage. And that's where it gets fun.
Does it? It
Yeah.
just goes... Phew. It's like all happening, is it?
Well, that's where someone goes in at minimum and comes out at 1.5 million.
Right. That's where your Jai Richardsons, your Riley Merediths happen that have happened in the last couple
That's
of
when
years.
you have the big, in your first block where you have the big names come out and you miss out on a Stark or an Arshdeep, 2 left-handers, and all of a sudden Spencer Johnson comes later in the auction and you still need a left-hander, and 2 other franchises were doing the same.
We talk about Stoinis the other night, but what about Spencer Johnson? Would he have now appeared on the priority list of a few franchises after what he did, or was he already on there?
Well, he went for over $1 million last year.
Yeah.
So he's well and truly up there. The way he bowled against Pakistan, you can bowl him with a new ball. He gets overs in the middle as well. And he started his career, which was really interesting, after a couple of games. Brisbane Heat went straight to him at the death. So, yeah, he'll be definitely sought after.
Sounds like Spencer might be spending a bit of time in the north of India by the
Mate,
sounds of
I
things.
tell you what, the process is enormous.
So how much detail goes into it? Like, what's going on now on your WhatsApp chat groups and the like, and across all the franchises?
We've been meeting rock solid for 2 weeks. There's so many different combinations you come up with, and you might say, okay, I want Healy, and this is a scenario if we get her.
Oh, pick me.
Yeah. But if you miss her, there's 3 other options that you can cover what style of play you want. Then if you get her, 2 and 3 go out, then you go after. There's so much detail that goes into the auction because you can't afford to get this big auction wrong. In the small auctions, you can get, and we've seen it with Camo and Stark, where you have a small auction and teams only need one player, so they throw the bank at them. But in this auction, you're building a franchise list for the next 5 years. So if you get this wrong, it's hard to recover and be successful in IPL.
Well, that's what's happened in the WPL and teams. So this is the last year before it potentially gets added more teams and it breaks apart like the men just did. And it's the same thing. Teams are chasing their tail until the big auction where they rebuild their whole list again. So it's huge.
We've heard in the past how you have all that planning and then all of a sudden the owner's wife likes someone, the look of a player, they'll call through while the auction's going on and said, keep bidding, keep bidding. Have those days gone? Has it become really professional, especially in an auction like this where you've got 18 spots minimum, 25 max, salary cap of 22 million Aussie, and these players are locked in, aren't they? They want that season-on-season commitment from players. So if you're not in if you can't make next year, you're out of the auction. Jofra Archer's not in the auction, for instance. England want him to concentrate to get ready for the Ashes. But does the flippancy of bidding for players, has that kind of gone a little in the last couple of years, or is it still a factor?
Having a look at what we've gone through over the last couple of weeks, we've covered every scenario. And most teams are like that now. It's a huge business, and you don't want to be reactive at the table. Yes, there's times teams have got in an emotional bidding war, but that's more in that express phase. But
that's where it's good for the player.
Yeah. There's ego involved.
Yeah, there is at some time. But I tell you what, there is so much planning, and you have a huge analytics team that they've got a pretty good idea where it's all going to stand. And yeah, it's the planning's enormous. It's absolutely enormous.
I think it comes down to how much the owners trust the coaching staff and the people around the team as to how much then the ego comes into play. Because if the owners have got obviously a high level of control over the list itself, then I think maybe that more emotional side will come into it. Whereas if they genuinely trust the coaching staff, all the analytics around it, then that won't come into play. They'll back the stats.
Yeah. It's up to you as a coaching staff to be really well planned. That the owners and everyone are involved in the process as well. So it's not just, okay, we're going to do this. It's, okay, this is the game style we want to play. This is a surface. This is what it looks like this year. And the next 2 years moving forward, we've got maybe some uncapped players. We think if we get some cricket into here, they can be in that top, 1 to 7 batters. Everyone's involved in the process. So the teams that do really well are the teams that are really well prepared.
Who has the final say?
On the table,
yeah.
You'd imagine the coach. The coach has the final say. But all those conversations have come about. There won't be any real shocks come the auction. There's so many scenarios played out. You just have to look at that first list. And you'd come up with different scenarios for every one of those players if they came out first and where the auction would go from there.
Okay. Whew, good times. Have you earmarked? Do you know exactly who you're going after?
Mate, we're not. No, I don't know.
You can't say. You can't say. I wouldn't expect you to say either. You could give us a little.
Well, I think
throw
most
friends a bone here at Willow
But you
Talk,
look at that first 6 players to come out. Most teams will want those players in their lineup. Some might lean towards the batters and some might lean towards the bowlers. But I think people are going to want those players.
Butler, Pant, Rabada.
Just depends on whether where they've been are willing enough probably to pay enough to keep him.
Yeah,
Well, you
Mitch.
look at Rishabh Pant's coming out.
Yeah.
He's probably Dhoni's got maybe his last year. Well, if it's two, but he's arguably the next biggest name in Indian cricket. What the story around Pant coming back last year was captured by the whole country. So someone going in like Pant, you go, okay, world class player, bats in the top 4, wicket keeps.
Can
By the
skipper.
way, he can be captain and the face of the franchise.
Hmm.
So he ticks every box.
Would you like to see this in the BBL to this extent, where it's all like maybe 5 held as a contracted player and then everyone else goes back into the pot and up it goes, or even WBBL?
You go and beat BBL if you want.
Well, Sixers have been successful, so probably no. I don't think we've got our draft system right.
Hmm.
I would like to see some form of this in there because if you look at players like James Vince and Sam Billings, who marquee players, they do well in the tournament. It could be argued that Moses or David Warner are worth a lot more than them. Just because they're overseas and they're getting big money doesn't mean James Vince, I think, is a better player than Moses.
I think the WBBL's in a good spot at the minute in that regard because players have moved. So they've maybe got their 1, 2, 3 like loyal players since the beginning, and that's not having a crack at the ones that have left, but the talent has spread, and you can see it by the competition at the moment that talent has spread nicely. So I think that's fine, but I'm intrigued to see how this little trade window goes because I think that's going to be really exciting.
I don't like the trade. I don't like the,
Okay, never mind.
sorry, not the trade. Sorry, my fault. The draft. I don't like how that pans out.
Okay.
Like, I just don't like how some of the names in there, the draft's there for big name players. Are we attracting big name players? I think
Not
some
to
of
the
the
extent of the IPL.
the overseas players are getting paid too much compared to our talent.
Yeah.
Let's get into Sundries, shall we? We've basically covered off the T20 series, which was captured by Australia 3-0. And we've mentioned Spencer Johnson. We've mentioned Stoyne down in Hobart there. We haven't mentioned Hads v. the Confetti. What happened?
I don't know. I had my eyes shut and hit the deck.
At the presentation. I
Yeah.
missed this. What happened?
No, the confetti machine went off. I didn't think you had it for a little series in the decider might have been done in Sydney, but the confetti machine went off and I was on with Triple M. I hit the deck.
It gets someone every series, and every player knows that it's there, but it always gets one player. So I'm glad it was you. It's funny.
Well, I've been retired 10 years. I don't think about the presentation there. I'm thinking about my next question. Who are we about to get? You get thinking, and when that went off, I just hit the deck.
How's your heart?
Well, my heart was good.
Yeah, okay.
Ego.
Because you've had a good week. WBBL. He also, we're recording this between Thunder Stars on Wednesday night, but Thunder look likely to make the finals because as we sit here right now, they're top, followed by the Renegades and the Heat. Adelaide Strikers early in the week got a good win, but they've got a lot of ground to make up. A little sampling of games to come. It's such a compressed.
Yeah. Well,
Is it purely about who hits the finals with momentum, and then you'll make a judgment on who's hard to beat, or is there exposed form here that you say this is the team that they're all got to hunt?
No, I literally look at that and go, anyone can win this comp. I know Sydney Thunder sit at the top and they've played some good, consistent cricket. They're now without Heather Knight, who's done a lot of work for them in the middle order as well. So the English players are gone. The South Africans go today, so they're now out of the comp as well. So teams are starting to supplement with some different players. Some Kiwis have come in for the Scorchers, for instance. So I think it's anyone's ball game. We obviously need the Sixers to win 2 more games. I think we definitely need to beat the Scorchers, and we definitely need to win both of our last 2 games to try and crack finals. But to have a final in Sydney would be really cool. So I kind of hope the Thunder just kick on and do their thing.
I drove past Des Moines the other night and had the double header. That looked like good fun.
It was awesome. The vibe was amazing until the
the
world's
world
largest
happened.
storm hit. I swear that lightning hit the Gladesville Bridge.
Yeah.
As I was leaving, I had my backpack on, about to leave the change room, and I was like ducked straight back in because I was like, I think that hit right there. So yeah, I think it's been by far the closest competition I've ever been a part of, watched more than anything else. And how good is that for our sport?
What about Thunder? They're pretty, how do you put it, aggressive on social media at the moment towards the Sixers. Not that I know. My kids told me because mine doesn't.
I haven't seen any of it. So.
Yeah, they've been. They've been throwing a bit out.
Genuine. Haven't. Well, I get
It's
it.
good. Yeah, it's
I
good.
think we would have beaten them. The rain saved them the other night. So
Yeah.
go as hard as you like.
Is everyone happy with what it's doing in terms of bringing on another generation of players this season? The depth of it all?
You can see it, and I felt it actually. Like I'm taken a part of a heap of the comp, but the games that I've played, it feels like a massive changing of the guard. Like even look at the marketing around the competition. It's not us anymore. It's like we're past that. It's the next generation coming through, and they're the ones making the runs, taking the wickets, taking the speckies in the outfield, which I absolutely love. And it shows that investment 10 years ago is starting to pay off, and it's cool. It's good things for Australian cricket moving forward.
Absolutely. Now, some other matters in Sundries. WA spinner Corey Rocacholi, who I would say, if we were picking a team for Sri Lanka right now, I reckon he should be on the plane. That's just me. Anyway, he got a hat-trick against Victoria over 2 innings, and he didn't realise it. He dismissed Peter Siddle with the last wicket of Victoria's first innings and then got rid of Chandrasinghe and Kellaway in the second innings in consecutive balls. He didn't know he got the hattie and didn't realise he got the hattie until he got back to the dressing room and got messages saying, well done. And he went, oh, yes, well done me. Anyway, they got rolled, WA, so his probably mind was elsewhere. But should it count if you don't realise it?
Yeah.
Should still count?
Yeah.
No.
No?
Yes, because it's all about statistics, not about how you feel.
No way. If you can't celebrate a hat trick,
you shouldn't have it.
Yeah, exactly right. All part of the fun of getting a hat trick is celebrate and run around like a goose. Everyone out in the field wants to be you for 5 minutes. But I don't agree with that. He'll be on the Sri Lankan tour.
Don't you?
No.
Why not?
I think if Nathan Lyon got injured this summer, he'd play with the style of bowling. He comes up and over the ball.
Mm.
But in Sri Lanka, Murphy is going to be one of our better bowlers in subcontinent because it goes under the
We
ball.
look at Heratha now,
Yeah.
his success, yeah.
Maybe
There you go. Bit of tactics for you.
Adam Zampa wants to play as well.
What do you mean?
Well, he wants to play Shield.
He doesn't go to training.
I know, but that's the rumour.
No.
That's the
Come on.
rumour. Hit a nerve there, haven't I? Now, shout out to Australia's blind cricket team who won the opening match of the Blind Ashes in Queensland on Sunday. The Aussies made 5 for 337, 40 overs, batting first, restricted England 7 for 292 to win by 45 runs. It's always worth celebrating when Australia beat England in anything, especially cricket. So well done to Australia's blind cricket team. Mike Berg is part of the team and got in touch with us via Instagram. Thank you, Mike. Well done to the lads. First blind Ashes in 8 years due to COVID. Second one day I got washed out on Tuesday. Third one day is today in Burleigh, and 5 T20s will follow that. So great to see a whole series taking place. England hold the Ashes, but not for long.
Well, I hope they sung that song as loud as they possibly could and they could hear it from miles away. Anytime you beat England, especially in an Ashes campaign, well done, boys. I know Nathan Lyon does a lot of work with the blind cricketers. Yeah, and this is a massive result. I don't care what sport you're playing. We beat England. Celebrate.
Shout out to Dave and the Australian Universities cricket team on their 2-week 6-match tour against India Universities. I know what you're going to say, Hads. I've got a fair idea anyway. But any advice, and Heels as well, on a first trip to India?
Gastro stop.
Well, I think the analytics of both teams will be first class.
No, they might be studying comms.
It's just whether they can bat, bowl, or field. But I tell you what, they'll be really well prepared.
You've told me your best advice that you got in India was just keep your mouth shut in the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do not put your toothbrush under your tap.
No, leave it in your bathroom bag
But
too.
no, analytics-wise, they'll be well prepared.
There you go, Dave and crew. You bunch of brainiacs over there. Australia's Universities cricket team. Good luck on that 6-match tour of India.
I love that we assume that they're all bright. They could just be
Yeah, a bunch of pissheads.
party addicts.
Yeah.
They've been at uni for 10 years and they've decided to form a team and they've never finished. Yeah.
Or
Or
like
they
a
could be-
12-year
yeah.
arts
Yeah.
degree.
They
Yeah.
could be all on scholarship that they pinch from everywhere because they've got no juniors.
That's it.
Oh, ads. Now, questions, quick ones, quick fire questions to end us, and thank you for these via social media. Noah got in touch. This is the same Noah down in Hobart who called out to Heels and said he loved Willow Talk. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, good
I
stuff.
said hi. I was getting ready to bat though, so I
He
couldn't.
was in the zone.
Yeah, but I smiled and said thank you.
Yeah, at the
How long did you last?
Oh, 3 balls that
We
game, probably.
Went back out and talked to him. Didn't you
No,
quickly?
I went inside.
Now, Noah was at the
I went and
Hurricane
cried in the shower,
Strikers WPPL match last week. And the Hobart Spinners put the brakes on Adelaide's run chase without necessarily going for wickets. Noah asked how many dot balls is worth a wicket in a T20, I
Oh.
reckon he's asking. Here's a very good question, actually.
You have more than 4 dot balls in an over. That's gold.
That's a wicket?
Yep.
That feels like a wicket.
As long as you don't go 6-6 the last 2 balls. But
Nearly a maiden in the Pakistan match at the SCG.
Yep.
They found trouble with. You agree with that one, Hans?
Well, it depends what batter you get, actually. Sometimes you can bowl 2 dot balls and you can see the batter, you go, oh, hang on a minute, he's just about to get caught a deep long on. Or other guys just think, oh, no, I'm in control, I'll catch up. They got a bit more cricket smarts. But some batters, you can actually talk into making a mistake after dot balls.
Do you ever have a batter out there in a T20 where it's all happening real quickly that you can see they're out of nick, so you just say, don't get them out? Keep them in because they've got firepower behind them, and you want to keep them out there because it's putting the brakes on the innings, or is that a dangerous game to play?
I've been guilty of doing such things and set it on a microphone in a game live in an international fixture, and oh my word, did I get roasted for it for another 12 months. But you know what? It was accurate.
Yeah.
This person only struck at a strike rate of 50 in run chases, and we're like, we'll leave her out here because we know she's going to get a red ink, but she's not going to win the game.
What was the sledge? What did you
That.
say? Exactly that.
Because the statistics
she
showed.
hear?
Yeah.
So someone like Meg Lanning averages 100 in run chases against New Zealand, right? You want to get her out. But in particular, this game we were playing in, she strikes at 50 and averages maybe 50 as well, but strike rate of 50 in a run chase, you keep her in as long as possible.
And what did she say when you said that? Did she say anything? Give you a glance?
No, I don't think she heard me say it. But oh my word, did it get through the media in this certain country we were in.
Oh, perfect.
Woo.
How good.
Anyway, she retired not long after.
Well, it happened. It happened at Sydney the other night when Rizwan was batting. Mate, he could not hit the ball off the square, and Mark Waugh's rule
Yeah.
should be able to
Sub
retire him.
out.
And he did the right thing, actually. He knew he was struggling,
Yep.
and he just went, you know what? I'm either going to get out here, I'll find the boundary a couple of times, and he shanked one and got out. But it's that rule. Well, it happened in IPL, actually. One of our players, I think it was last year in IPL, couldn't get the ball off the square, started really well, and just walked off.
Yeah.
No, he did.
Well,
he retired
Arian,
himself.
if it's a team play, do
Yeah.
it. Like if you're genuinely like 7
Yep.
off 18 balls or whatever, and you can't find the boundary and you're 2 down, whatever,
Oh, mate. We've all had those
hamstring,
days.
I don't know, get
Get
off. Give someone else a crack. Come
We've
back
all
on.
had them.
Yeah.
Remember those days where you think,
Yeah.
and you just think, I can't, is this ball like a piece of soap? Is it my bat? You actually just can't get the ball.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you panic
Yep.
and you're trying to get it off. And the last ball of the over, you inside one to fine leg and you got to face again.
Yep.
And you just think, oh, get stumped.
I hit the ball too much in the air to worry about it. I'm already out.
Sounds like fun. Simon asked, why do wicket keepers continue to wear pads?
Oh,
Is there
Simon.
a rule?
No, Simon, because we're smart. The ones that still wear pads are the smart ones, because have you ever been hit on the kneecap with a cricket ball or like an under edge or whatever? It really hurts.
That's what your hands are for.
An under edge.
True.
If you get hit on the kneecap,
So
I'm
you're
just
wearing-
from a current knee injury and you can't squat and do your job, it hurts.
So you're wearing those pads, but a lot of the pads don't cover the knee.
Yeah, some of the keepers wear the shin pads, that's fine.
Yeah.
But mostly Aussies still wear full pads for that reason.
I wore youth pads. Mine didn't cover my knee, just a little bit under. But the reason is it hurts.
Yeah.
And you actually, here's one for you. You change your wicket keeping style when you don't have pads on.
Correct. You don't get your head right over it.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
Well,
go.
we'll get on Instagram. We can use your account because I don't have one. I'm going to tape you batting in the nets. I'm going to take your pads off and I'll throw to you.
Yeah.
And we'll put pads on thigh pad, helmet, and see if your style changes.
Are you bowling?
Mhm.
I won't need the pads.
I know, because I'll hit you in the head.
I've got one for you, right? And this is slightly too soon, maybe. But so MS Dhoni still wears pads, right? He uses them, so he doesn't necessarily get down to stop balls that are coming rolling down the wicket. What happened in the WBBL recently on a dicey outfield? Cops one right in the eyeball because he's right down, doesn't wear pads. Just get your legs behind it,
Wear a helmet.
or that.
Nick asks, with the strong dependence on referring stumpings and runouts upstairs these days, do you see any point in the game having a square leg umpire?
No, because I don't call the no balls anyway.
I know in my fielding days, it was good to have someone to talk to. Because it's square leg, you got long on out. You need someone to talk to. I still think it needs that part of the game. Just if you don't have anyone there, you just need someone to calm the game down.
But pet hate when they don't go to square leg and they stand at point. How crowded does
That's
it look?
lazy.
Yeah, and
that's
it's
just lazy. Yeah.
Well, it's my pet hate. Even as a keeper, and I'm like, that field looks stacked there because the umpire's there, but it still annoys me. I'm like, get to the other side.
When that happens, is that purely just the umpire having a bludge? It's not
Yes.
because he's...
All the fielders have run across.
Yeah.
You get there
I
too.
used to tell him.
Yeah.
I said,
are you
we'll,
doing over
we'll
there?
wait for the game.
Yeah.
You get across.
Yeah, correct.
Had's controlling a game for a change. Sachin from Dallas, Texas. Hello, Sachin from Dallas, Texas. Asks, when a batter plays a switch hit or a reverse sweep, are they nullifying the pitching outside leg stump rule for an LBW?
No, because that rule's changed.
Yeah.
So you bring in both sides. So there's no outside leg anymore if they change.
On a reverse. Okay, there you go. Clarification.
Correct.
You could be an umpire one day.
No, I only learned it recently because there used to be if they changed their hands and feet, if they went to left-handed and they were right-handed, that used to be the only variation. But I think it's now like a reverse is different. And it plays with the wide line as well.
So thank you for those questions. I've just turned over to page 6 of our 6-page rundown, and it's all the, I missed this before, it's all the IPL info about who has what and everything like that. Won't go through that. We've done it. We've been going for what, hour 40 now, Sammy? Nearly 2 hours? I told you, this was a bumper episode. Jeez, I missed picking the kids up from school. Whoops. But hope you enjoyed listening to Willow Talk. You probably had to do it in 2 pieces or 3, but we've covered everything we can from this week in cricket. Bring on the first test, everyone.
Can't wait.
Keep it real.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your cricket. Yeah, thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.